This is an open letter condemning fundamentalist, inerrant, infallible claims to the Bible. I believe the fallibility of the Torah through oral tradition. As to, were it to be taken literally, could it be factual? The answer is likely no. Now, the real facts about the Torah, according to the Jewish hermeneutics by the Jews who wrote it, is that most of Genesis, portions of Exodus, are allegory. If they are allegory, they are a religious sort of story that implies a meaning, a lesson. And that's what you're supposed to get out of the passages. It doesn't mean they don't provide perhaps facts, such as creation account 1 in Genesis gives us a 7-day week. It also establishes God as a creator. It also establishes man as the last creation. But you don't take it literally, like these are historically accurate. They could have happened in any order, or there could have been a mechanism for creation. Christianity is not at odds with evolutionary biology. This is a fundamentalist issue that is at odds with evolutionary biology. Evolutionary biology has been accepted by the Catholic Church since the days of Darwin, long before the millions of pieces of evidence, long before genetics became an independent science based entirely on evolutionary principles. But the misconception of deliberate creation based on the desire for an inerrancy and infallibility is the crime of fundamentalism. I believe that fundamentalists must know at the core the debate. At least you can call it debate, even though I view the decisions of what is allegory based on the Jewish rules of hermeneutics and grammar, context clues, context of the entire book, other things that sway to allegory, as, just so much evidence that you're a fool to take it literally. But yet, fundamentalists do. They persist in it, and they grow. Fundamentalism seems to have nearly, by my research of the last week, nearly sucked in virtually every Protestant denomination. And it's very sad, because I realize this is a claimed attempt to be true to the faith, but really what they're true to is a sort of piety that is dishonest even to the prescribed interpretation of the Bible. I spoke to Jews about interpreting the Torah, and they're the ones who gave me the hermeneutics info. Answers in Genesis gives a very contradictory claim on hermeneutics and mysteriously provides no evidence on how to do it yourself. They just say, oh, it exists, and they also name 2 more passage types than the Jews prescribe, which means they are talking about what? Doing hermeneutics on a Greek Old Testament? This was established by the early church as being a mistake. You should use the Hebrew Old Testament, specifically because the passages of the Torah regarded as scripture are so difficult to ascertain the proper meaning of. And it is just a great dishonesty to what are principles of properly interpreting the Old Testament to take it literally. It comes from an ignorance based in the fact, well, I can read the Gospels and they mean what they say, unless the obvious parable, but why can't I do that with the Old Testament? Because it's a book of a different religion. It's a book of a different era and time period. The Old Testament serves as a law book and a book of guidance and governance for Jews as well. There are many things in there besides faith. And one thing that can be agreed upon is that the Bible certainly is not in conflict or in error on matters of faith. It is the only representation of the principles and ideals of the Christian faith. On that, I think we can all agree. A little bit of objective nature and a little bit of honesty to the methods of interpreting the first of the two books of the Christian faith, a subset of which is yet another book of another older faith that came from an extremely old oral tradition. Proper respect of these give the religion dignity, and almost as if divinely inferred, take away the conflicts with science and history. It is all too easy what proper interpretation of Scripture give. And it's not a sellout or a compromise. Rules of hermeneutics predate Darwin, geology in the modern sense, and all these sciences that are in conflict with the fundamentalist, who is by nature a young earth creationist. This is the end of my open letter and why I condemn fundamentalism. Fundamentalism is dishonest, and I will cite specific reasons in future videos.